Hey there, everybody. Just want to jump in here and give you brand new information that we are tracking a new tornado warning in our area, and it's this cell right here into Newcastle County, just issued from the National Weather Service. So let me zoom down, and then I'm going to read what is going on with this particular cell, and we're going to throw the warning on for you so you can see here. So it is a tornado warning on this one right here. So it is in southern parts of Newcastle County, and it extends out and goes at this point over the bay. So I'm going to leave this on here, and I'm going to track it for you, and we'll go from there. So this is until 9 o'clock tonight. Of course, northern Delaware into southern parts of Newcastle County. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Delaware Corner, or about 8 miles south of Middleton. That's where it was located. And we're going to show you the velocity data in just a moment. But this area here is really what we are focused in on, right along Highway 13. It is a radar-indicated rotation, and what that means is it's not something that was spotted on the ground by a spotter. It is radar-indicated, and so I'm going to show you that right here. And I've been watching this, and we talked about it when we were meeting here just a bit ago. And you see how these colors are all red? This is what's called velocity data, and this is what registers the movement of the storm, how fast it's moving, and the direction of the storm. And you see how there's a green color right in here. That is an indicator that at this point, the winds are going in different directions. So right here, you have Van Dyke, Delaware Corner, just up to the north of your area, moving across south of Forest. And I'm going to track this out for you. It is moving at approximately 20 miles per hour or so. Now,
this was the same system that was near Baltimore?
Correct.
About 30 minutes ago?
Yeah, and it's working. That system's actually still there. What we're tracking is this is a new part of this storm system. There are numerous tornado warnings out outside of our area. This is the first one that's actually in our area, and that's why we're tracking it for you. Let me put a fresh track for you. Let me get the speed 20 miles per hour, and I'm going to take it right at this point and extend it out. Let me widen this cone for you in just a little bit. And actually, I'll do something a little bit different. I want to make it quite a bit wider, because if you're not in a tornado part of this, you're still going to be dealing with winds that are around the outer edge of it. So let me clear this off the screen, and I'm going to take a wider sample, something about like this. And let's draw it out like this. Now, what does this mean? It means that the radar has indicated a tornado. It means that you should get into the safe part of your home. And that would be the center part of your home. In a basement is the ideal place, but many of you don't have basements. If you do, I want you to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You picture a tornado. You picture the rotating winds that are spinning around 100 miles an hour, whatever it is. That's to be determined at a later date. But it's the stuff blowing around. It's the rocks. It's the sticks. It's just things that are picking up. And so if you have more walls between you and the outside, you're going to stay a little safer. But here's where we are. Fresh track, Dexter Corner, 8:42. According to my clock, that's in about 15 seconds or so. It's going to be on your doorstep if it's not already. Sometimes there's a lag within a couple of minutes on the radar. So when we get a new scan, as it's called, we're probably going to see where this is up, and then I'll do a fresh track for you as soon as we get that. Forest, 8:46. Blackbird, right around 8:50. We have Tent at 8:58, and Chambersville at 9:02. Many folks might be out and have RVs or mobile homes. Those are very unsafe places to be in a tornado warning. You want to get yourself, if you know, Pete, it's summertime, so people are out in different places, maybe camping or, vacationing in an RV. You definitely don't want to be in that RV. You want to be in one of the facilities. A lot of times bathrooms have brick walls. They're built in campgrounds, stuff like that. Mobile home parks, same thing. If you know somebody that's driving, I mean, this is a highly traveled road here. A lot of pull over. If friends and family working in here, have them say, okay, the next offer, get off, go and get a bite to eat. Maybe a gas station, get inside the building there, or something along those lines. How familiar are you with this area here in southern Newcastle
Very much
County?
so. I know 13 is parallel to Route 1 as well.
Right.
And if you know anybody on the roads right now and you're watching this, please give them a call on the cell phone to find shelter right away. But Bill, warning and watch. Once again, a warning means something is likely to happen. Yeah.
So this is a tornado warning. A warning, by definition, means that it's happening now or will happen. A watch means conditions are favorable for whatever it is we're watching. But this is a tornado warning. And I agree with this call from the National Weather Service. And this is why I was tracking this and looking at it. And as soon as we got off the air last time, I got the severe weather set up, ready to go, because I had a feeling they were going to issue that. And if they didn't, I was actually going to reach out to them. But yeah, right here, just north of Dexter Corner there. So when we sample and we look at, say, the road here, then I'm going to zoom down in just a moment, get you hyper localized. But let me clear this off here. This is showing you that the winds are moving this direction away from the radar. I'm going to just draw it on here for you. So right here, the winds are moving like this, and then this area of green, they're coming down like this, toward the radar, away from the radar, and that's what the legend is showing. So right here is where that spin is being picked up by the radar. And also to point out, and I'm going to put a track on here again in just a moment, this part of our viewing area is relatively close to the radar. The radar is down here near Dover, and why that's important. So there's Dover, and you're going to see the radar sweep around. The closer the storm is to the radar that we're tracking, the lower it is in the sky, because as the radar shoots out, over distance, it looks a little higher up in the sky based on the curve of the Earth. So this is a very good indicator that there is a tornado on the ground here. What I'm doing is I'm scanning the National Weather Service chat, see if they're going to talk about it at all, and they haven't, so they haven't updated anything here. But let's just go back one more time. If you're just joining us, we are actively tracking a tornado warning. I'm going to put the radar back on for you. Let's put the auto feature on and where this tornado warning is. So we're looking at Newcastle County. There's Middletown. Newark is up here. Wilmington is farther north than that. So you folks, say north of 95, you're not even close to this cell. In Kent County, you are south of this cell. But this area here, within this box, is where we have the warning.
Because I think it goes, Bill, Newcastle's up top, then Kent, and then Sussex.
Real quick, we're welcoming in viewers here on CBS. We're tracking this on 57. We're joining you live because we have an active tornado warning in progress, and this is in southern Newcastle County in Delaware. This is Middletown. You're going to go a little farther south to see Dover. This is the Kent County line. This here is Maryland, and this is the Delaware Bay here. So the Delaware Memorial Bridge is up here, the crossover into Salem County. Wilmington is this direction. Philadelphia is well up here. So this is in our southern part of our area. But what were you saying, Luke, before we went live on CBS?
That was exactly right. I was going to the counties. You start with Newcastle, then there's Kent, and then there's Sussex. Doesn't look like it's down in Sussex as much, more so southern Newcastle, you're saying.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, it's right here. And right now, the National Weather Service has this warning right up to the border of Kent County. But you folks that are there, near Spearna, for example, you're south of this system. So now let's walk you in and let's get you a hyper-localized forecast and a forecast track for you. And I will say, for you folks that are just joining us, or we're just joining you potentially in the middle of your program, this is one of those calls that I agree with wholeheartedly, because you see this right here, this change in color and this rotation. This is very clearly rotating, no doubt about it. We do not have, at least let me check, any visible confirmation. This is a radar indicated tornado because of the radar showing these signs, but it's low enough to the ground that I absolutely would take my tornado precautions right now. Let's get you really localized. Here's Route 13, Route 1, and there's Dexter Corner. It's just to the north of your area, so out ahead of it is where we're watching. Van Dyke, you guys are in the clear from this particular system right now, but let's get a hyper-localized forecast based upon where this is right now, moving at about 20 miles per hour or so. So we got Blackbird, 8:47, that's now, essentially. I got 8:46 on my clock here. Walker, you folks at 8:57, another 10 minutes. This is going to be on your doorstep, probably north of your area, I will say, because it's traveling from the west to the east, slightly up to the northeast as well. I can actually throw this in a loop, and you can see that track. You can see that color change over the last half an hour. It is moving like this. So pretty much right into the middle of this line. If you are in Blackbird or anywhere around this, unquestionably take your tornado precautions right now. I want you to get into your basement. I want you to, if you don't have a basement, I want you to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And oftentimes we mention an interior bathroom. The reason we mention an interior bathroom is because a lot of times you're surrounded by 4 walls in the inside of your house, a bathroom that might be right off a center hallway, for example. So if you picture that, you're surrounded by the walls, then you got the door, then you got the hallway, then you have another wall there, then you may have a bedroom, and then the outside wall. So when you separate yourself with as many walls as possible between you and the outside, that is going to give you the most protection in a tornado. If you can get underground, if you can have a basement and you get in the basement, that's obviously ideal. Mobile homes, cars, RVs, not good. And also, something to bring up a lot of people, because we're talking about, travel. A lot of times people will think, oh, there's something I see. I need to get out of my car and go under the overpass and get up in the corner of the overpass there. And that is not, I can understand why that would seem like a safe place to be. That is actually a terrible place to be because the wind funnels through there, and what might be, I'm just arbitrarily throwing out, a 110 mile per hour wind could turn to 160 or 170. So you never want to do that. You want to get in sturdy buildings. If you know anybody that's traveling this route, and there's a lot of people. I mean, my daughter's down in Rehoboth Beach. I know she was traveling this route just a couple of days ago.
Just by looking at that picture right there, Bill, is there any way of determining what type of damage could be done, or is that just too early?
It's a little early. One thing I am encouraged by, a couple things, and I'll put a little bit of a positive spin. I'm just going to leave the track on this for you because to me it's one of the most important things to just show you where it's heading and where it's headed there. In fact, let's throw a new track on here. I'm going to clear this off. I'm going to put this on back again right where these colors are. Let's really hyper-localize it and throw it around just like that and get some new timing. And this is not a highly populated area, which in one way is good, but there could be a lot of people out and about in this region that don't have sturdy buildings around them, so we'll just keep that in mind. But one thing I was going to say that I'm encouraged by is if the stronger the tornado, the brighter the colors are, and that's evident by the radar here. So if you get these really supercharged greens almost turning white next to these reds that are almost turning purple, that is where it is very strong. This is not that. There's clearly rotation in here. Okay? So the winds are spinning around this direction. Dexter Corner, I'd give you guys another couple of minutes, and then I think you're going to be in the clear on this one. Green Spring, I would just be cautious. I would probably take the tornado precautions. It's north of your area, as you can see here. But this here is a little muddy when it comes to where the pinpoint specific is, and that's an indicator oftentimes that it's not a violent tornado. You have 3, you have 4, that type of thing. But it certainly has rotation on it, no question about it.
What will it take for it to die down, get over like that wide open land area?
Yeah, it's not so much that, it's more the atmospheric conditions and what's triggering this thing. And let me just, I'm going to go from this for a second. What I'm looking at, notice the gate-to-gate shear. What that is what the winds are next to each other in the pixels. And right now, 20 miles per hour, that's obviously nothing that's of serious significance, but that's just where I happen to sample that. What we're looking at is pretty much right over, there's Forest, here it's Blackbird, right over Route 13 or Route 1. It's going to continue to roll across, and in a scenario like this, it's one of these probably relatively weak tornadoes. If it's reaching against radar indicated, it has not been spotted. Let me just triple check. It has not been spotted visually, to my knowledge yet, from the National Weather Service chat here, from an emergency manager, a local sheriff, weather spotter. I mean, there's a variety of people who are trained to go out and look for these things. But it's showing enough that it's there, and a lot of times they'll go. You might get a touchdown, and then it rises again, or just kind of bounces around, versus these significant tornadoes that have crystal clear signatures on them, and they're so strong that they kind of use their own energy to keep spinning around. It's like you take a top and you start it and you get it going, and then all of a sudden that energy, keeps it rolling, versus just kind of something that's wobbling around, might fall over, get back up, that type of thing. Does that make sense, what I'm saying there?
What are the chances that system in Baltimore will follow right behind this?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to show. It's a great question. So it's been very, very active down in the DC, Baltimore area right now, and you can see, if I'm going to put this into motion, this is our radar over the last 30 minutes. Look at all this lightning strike, all that lightning right there, just along 95. That's near, basically just south of the Susquehanna River. There's Abington. We're talking about Havre de Grace. And if I put this into motion, everything is kind of moving this direction, mainly in our southern counties right now. This extends up into Lancaster. It extends up into Chester County. But the strongest part of this storm is where you're seeing all this lightning. There's Baltimore. Let me show you at this hour. I'm just going to take this off. Here are the active tornado warnings, and this is a decrease. There's 3 of them right now. One is in our area, and that's the one we've just been telling you about, this one right here, that does not quite reach Salem County. National Weather Service is going to watch this storm, see exactly what I'm seeing with all of you. They'll analyze it and determine whether or not a tornado warning is warranted to extend outward into Salem County and then beyond. we'll have to see. I mean, it certainly has rotation. I would not be surprised at all if they extend this out for maybe another 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, something along those lines. But there is one in Baltimore, and there's one to the north. I'm guessing that's probably Carroll County, maybe Harford County. I'm not exactly sure which one at that particular point. But yeah, just about a half an hour ago, there were 4 active tornado warnings here, and that's why I was telling you about it, watching it and scanning. So this system here, what are the odds that it's going to bring up into our area? I mean, the odds are almost certain, but what we're questioning is the energy, and is there going to be enough energy for the atmosphere now that the sun has gone down? That's a component of this storm, for sure. Now that the sun's gone down, it's going to take a little bit of the energy with it, but not all the energy, certainly. And so are these going to be strong enough and have enough spin and enough rotation that those work into our area with the ferocity that they were seeing this? And I read, and it's not in our region, so, but I was following, there was a, hold on, here it is. This is from Mount Holly. They are continuing the tornado warning. Let me see if they reissued. They just say they're going to continue this severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Once again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about Newcastle County. It's now, here's Route 13, Route 1, moving over Walker, Collins Beach, heading toward the Delaware. That is the warning. Let me put the radar and the warning on. I'll keep reading it for you. And what we're tracking is this area right in here. Do a quick draw out just so you can have, I mean, there's not a lot of cities here, so it has it at 10. It's probably just to the north. That's now 8:56, maybe 2 minutes from now. 8:52 p.m. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Green Spring or near Middletown, moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. That's what we've been tracking for you. It is a radar-indicated tornado, meaning we're seeing it on the radar. Has not been visually spotted, at least from what I've seen so far, from anybody on the ground. Obviously, the impacts are going to be flying debris. Those that don't have shelter going to be impacted. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed, could be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. Of course, and then they get into the take cover now, do all the safety things that we were telling you about. Let's take another look at the radar, and it's still holding together. What you're looking at, if you're just joining us, this is what's called velocity data. It's a product from the radar that the National Weather Service is basing their warning criteria on for this particular one. And again, I agree with the call. Right in here, you can see the difference in colors. It's starting to fade down a little bit, which is an indication that it's not quite as dynamic in terms of the rotation. So that, to me, just tracking this over the last half hour, tells me that this storm here is winding down. There's certainly some strong winds. In fact, if I sample this bright right here, this white, this radar is picking up right here a 46-mile-per-hour wind just right here. Okay, so that's strong. It's not severe, but that is strong. But the rotation itself is what is prompting the National Weather Service to issue this warning. And once again, starting to calm down a little bit in terms of our visual, what we're seeing on the radar. So it's not, I can't tell you if they're going to extend it or not. There's the brand new scan. Again, kind of muddy. It's not crystal clear. We'll just have to watch and see what they do. But our job, our most important job that we do here is to help keep you and your family safe, your persons and your property. And so that's why we jump on whenever there are tornado warnings that are issued. We want to give you the information so you can help plan and prepare. And I know that there's a lot of you, most of you are not impacted by this. This is not a highly populated area. It's not rolling through Center City, Philadelphia. But it doesn't matter. We want to cover everybody. So some of you may be watching, it has no impact on me whatsoever. This is just one part of the storm. We could see more. We're not in a huge severe risk right now, widespread. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center, I'll be interested. Let's see if they've taken it. Their update comes out at 9 o'clock, and we were not in a severe risk. Oh, wow, look at this. Yeah, they have completely updated this. This is brand new information, just came down. It's the 9 o'clock update. It's 8:57. So what the National Weather Service has done, Storm Prediction Center, here it is. So here's, of course, Delaware, moving into South Jersey. They have extended what's called the marginal risk. That is a 1 out of 5 on the severe scale. It means isolated strong to severe storms are possible. They've extended this now into Cumberland County, right through Salem County. So there's Millville, Vineland. It goes pretty much right up to the Delaware Memorial Bridge, just south of Wilmington. It includes I-95 all the way down, and then north of this, in the Philadelphia area and areas around, is just what is called the general thunderstorms category. But that doesn't mean we couldn't have severe weather. It just means that the parameters are the greatest and the strongest where we have that. But
and that was southwestern Newcastle County and,
correct.
And moving east.
It's moving east at 20 miles per hour,
okay.
east-northeast. So let's go back and let's go and show you where that warning is right now, and it's why we're on the air with it. So it's this particular warning in our area. So there is one in Baltimore. We were talking about that, but we're going to focus in on this one for just a moment, this one here, because it's about ready to go over the bay. So I'm going to take this off so you can see. Okay, I'll just put on first just one more visual. This red is where we have the active tornado warning. It does not include you guys in northern Delaware. It does not include Wilmington. It is south. It's just north of Smyrna here. And there's Walker, there's Collins Beach. Like I said, not a lot of, have you been down, do you know are there RV areas, camping, anything, outdoor?
Very few.
Hiking?
I've been in that area a little bit, especially on the eastern side of Route 1.
Okay.
It's just a lot of land before it gets to the water.
Right.
So hopefully this is an area where it won't cause too much damage if anything happens at all.
Sure, and what I can do here, so I'm just going to show you, this is the area we're looking, right in this region here, and that's Route 9. Let me take this off. I like to do this from time to time, where I will go into the radar, and let's look at what's actually on the Earth satellite, and just take a look and see what we can see in this area, since, like you said, kind of sparsely populated. And this is what it looks like underneath. So you do see a lot of what appears to be forest land. There's obviously going to be homes and some properties in this area, probably a lot of acreage type properties. Tree damage is going to be a big problem. Power outages obviously could be a potential big problem with this as we work around. And again, if you're anywhere in this Route 9, let's say south of where it connects with Route 1 in Newcastle County, anywhere there, if you know of anybody there, take your tornado precautions. Now, go ahead, guys. Yes. So you folks that are on watching us here on 57, we're going to be continuing this on KYW. So if you want to get more on the tornado warning, we're going to completely take our coverage there, because we're doing the dual broadcast right now. So we'll continue this coverage until the warning is over. Now, at this point, the warning is set to expire at 9 o'clock. And I haven't got word that just came down just now. Mount Holly expires the tornado warning for Newcastle. So they are going to let this expire at 9 o'clock. So essentially right now, and let's see, did we hit the time? We did. So one last thing, and then we will jump off the air. We will monitor this. There are more storms. The tornado warning for Newcastle County has currently expired. If they reissue another one, we'll jump on and let you know. But for now, we are tracking storms, but not severe weather in our area. We'll have another update at 11 o'clock, certainly on our newscast, or if needed. Thank you.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. We begin with breaking news, a tornado warning in Newcastle County. Good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington.
And I'm Jessica Cartalia. Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly has been tracking these storms all night. Let's get to the latest.
Yeah, guys, and that tornado warning just issued. I was watching this cell, the tornado warning out of Cecil County, and I was just analyzing it 10 seconds before we just came on the air, and I said, oh, the National Weather Service, there's no way they're not going to extend this, and that's exactly what they've done. So we're talking in the similar area that we had the tornado warning out between 8:30 and 9 p.m. A couple things to bring to your attention, and we're going to stay on it and cover this. Here's Wilmington. You guys are not in the warning. Newark, not in the warning. Philadelphia, I-95, not in the warning. We're talking about central and southern parts here of pretty much central Newcastle County. And what we're watching, and the reason the National Weather Service has issued this warning, is because of this. It's this cell right here that's moving just over the Maryland border, and you see these different colors. I'm going to give you a closer look, and then I will track this on out for you and show you what is going on with this. Speaking of what is going on, for some reason my controls aren't working. Stand by for just a moment. I'm going to move over to the other computer, guys, for just a second, because that one is not working, and this is important information. Yeah, this warning is up right now at least for a half an hour, and what we're watching is this cell here that's moving across the area right there. If I can get this to move, there we go. So these different colors that you see, this is the radar indicating winds going this way and the winds going this way, and so this storm is moving to the east at about 20 miles per hour. So what I want to do is put a track on this for you. I'm going to take the sample of where this is right here, and it's not a huge area, but I'm going to make it bigger than it is. And if you are in this region, I need you to take your tornado precautions now. Some cities for you. Armstrong, about 6 minutes. I have 11:01 on my clock right now. 11:07 is when that is estimated to arrive at your doorstep. Middletown, this will probably remain north of your area, although if I go on here and I put the warning on, I'm going to put the outline on top of that. You can see this just north of you guys. We have Gray Lag at 11:15, Thorntown at 11:27, and Port Penn, that's closer to about 11:31. At minimum, you're going to get some very strong winds out of this, but the worst case scenario is obviously you would get a tornado that cuts through your area. And I know you hear that, and it's a scary thing, and we don't just come on here and say, okay, and just throw the language out, take it seriously, do not. We analyze these individually. And what concerns me about this is we have had a history on this storm of a tornado. If you've seen any of the network news, you've seen our social media posts. We are doing a Facebook Live here on our CBS page for a while, and we were talking about these tornadoes that have been confirmed through parts of Maryland. Actually, video of these tornadoes that have been down, and so it's an important thing to pay attention because there has been a history of some of these storms rolling on through it. And Yuki, we were talking earlier, it's a similar place in southern Delaware where it was before.
I was just getting ready to ask you, we were on the air, what, between 8:30 and 9? Is this taking like the same path as the one that we had then at that time period?
Yeah, in fact, if I go back and forth, you can see that general direction is moving from the west to the east, maybe southwest to northeast. And by the way, control room, if you want to just pop on full screen, for some reason that computer there at the wall is not working, so we can just get that off the shot there. Yeah, it's moving from the west to the, thank you guys, it's moving from the west to the east at about 20 miles per hour, so almost in a due east line, so kind of something like this slightly up to the northeast. So we are going to continue to watch places like Salem County, potentially a little bit more. But yeah, this storm, when you go over here, you notice all the red. What we're looking at, by the way, is called velocity data. And what you're seeing, if all the colors are the same, the winds are moving the same direction. In a tornado, the winds move opposite direction. They're a circular wind. And so when we look at this particular product, we go down and we look at where those are. So what I want to do is give you one more storm track, and then I'm going to switch the radar for you, and we're going to look at where the lightning is and where the storm is. So once again, tornado warning issued in our area. I'm going to take a sample and throw it out. And this is a speed of about 20 miles per hour. So Armstrong, 11:10. Give or take a couple of minutes here and there. They're fresh samples. Thorntown, 11:30. Port Penn, 11:33, and you can see here Ellensboro right around 11:47. We put the lightning on. Another thing that we're tracking, all of this right here is hail. All this white color here is the radar indicating some hail. So it's not large hail, it's not severe hail, but it's certainly a part of the storm that is dumping most likely some pea-sized hail. I haven't seen much in the way of any large hail reports. I've been scanning the National Weather Service here in our area, and I'm going to get a fresh thing. I'll let you know if they issue anything new. But lightning strikes, each one of these are cloud to ground lightning strikes. So we have lightning as an impact, is a threat for us. The very heavy rain, and guys, what we're looking at here is all these really dark colors. I mean, this is dumping rain and dumping hail. 301, Route 13, Route 1, right in here. You got people that are driving. If you are in the zone where I just tracked out for you, I'm going to do another fresh sample, just kind of draw it on out. If you are in any of these areas, I strongly urge you to take your tornado precautions. What does that mean? Well, you want to get into your basement if you have one. If you don't have a basement, you want to get into a center part of your house. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Think of the winds. Think of the things that are thrown around when there's, winds 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. You get rocks and sticks and twigs and all these, and it can cause some serious damage. You definitely don't want to go to the window and look around. Hey, where is this? They're Bill saying there's a tornado. Let's go check it out. It's exceptionally dangerous to do that, especially in a storm that has had history. We've seen these storms produce tornadoes. And so it's not just this rogue thing that you go, oh, okay, well, National Weather Service issued a warning. I really don't see much. I definitely see the potential for this with this area right in here, where there's definitely rotation. It's not crystal clear. It's not classic textbook, but it's right in this region where the storms are spinning around that we're keeping a close eye. Basically approaching 301 right now.
Yeah, we're looking at what? Southern Newcastle and like northern Kent, right?
Correct. Well, not quite in northern Kent. So northern Kent's all the way down here. There's Smyrna.
Gotcha.
So this is pretty much it's pretty much right in the center. This is I-95 here, heading on this direction. Here's Kent County, and Dover's farther south than that, the DuPont Highway. Just in this region right over here, pretty much where 301 connects with 13 and 1. That's what we're looking at in this region right here.
And we had Gaithersburg had reports in Maryland of a possible tornado sighting there. How long are these storms going to continue rolling through?
It's incredible how often how many of these tornado warnings have been around today. How many tornadoes are going to be confirmed tomorrow? I think there's going to be many. And that one in Maryland, there in Gaithersburg, which is west of Baltimore, northwest of D.C. along 270 there. Yeah, that was a tornado on the ground. I was watching some video. Power outages as it's spinning, and that's going to be confirmed. I have no doubt about that. Probably, somewhere in the EF1, EF2, just from what I was seeing from a visual standpoint. But yeah, so this one here, this is what we're tracking. If I put let me put this in motion, and once again, what we're looking at is these colors right in here. This you see how it's different? It goes from like over here, it's all red, it's all one color, and then over here you get this green mixed up with the red. This is what is prompting the National Weather Service right now to have that active tornado warning. And once again, I put the line on here for you, and let's zoom on down. Well, let's do this instead. Let's put this up, and I want to show you as we zoom down into this area right in here. And let's get hyper local for you. I mean, we're put some street names on here. There's Armstrong. If you are in Armstrong, we're looking at Armstrong Corner Road, Windmill Lane, Whittington Way, Middle Park Drive, Cedar Lane Road. Hopefully you're watching and you're hearing, or you know somebody. You can help us be part of this story. Call your friends, call your family. Tell them, hey, I don't know if, I know it's 11 o'clock, maybe you're sleeping. You got an active tornado warning. There's not sirens that I know of in this area. So maybe you're not being alerted. Maybe your phone is not, or their phone is not connected to any kind of warning system. There's no way to get the information, but a phone call might wake them up. Some of these situations could be life saving when you just let people know what's going on. But yeah, really getting in here, your tornado precautions, the places that you would go in a severe storm. If you have a 2-storm, we have a live picture from Armstrong, you're saying? Oh, there you go. Okay, is that, you see the lightning strikes in the back. Oh, yeah. Are we looking there at 301 or is that 71? Do we know what highway we're looking at? I assume 301 as we're looking there. Yeah, you could, thank you. You can see, and that's the producers folks talking to me. You can see how active that is, the flashes of light, and hopefully the camera didn't go down there, or they were switching some of them. Yeah, please, any of these streets that I'm mentioning, get you down a little bit more here. Cedar Lane Road, Brick Mill Road, Marl Pit Road. We're looking in Graylag. Let's just continue to go out. Shannon Boulevard. There's the DuPont Parkway, Highway 113, Sugar Maple Road, Bayview Road, Barrymore Parkway. When we look at this, and let me give you a little bit of a different way to look at this. I'm going to give you just a timestamp, a generalized timestamp as I draw this out. So there you go. It's approaching the DuPont Highway by 11:20. Okay, that's about 12 minutes from now, and so many people are traveling that. So if you know anybody that's in northern Delaware heading south, or vice versa, people coming up from Dover, that direction.
Going across the St. George's Bridge right there.
Yeah, okay.
Delaware City.
Tell them, hold off. Let this storm system pass on by, because at absolute bare minimum, I mean, look at the radar. There's lightning, as you saw from that live shot. It's pouring rain in this area. It's just that alone. I mean, let me just give you a sample. That is 301 that we're looking at right there, I'm being told. Rainfall rates 2 to 3 inches per hour. Some of that's going to be hail for sure. It's not picking up, that much rain in terms of the big drops. But yeah, it's a serious situation. You don't want to be out on that road. What do you do, by the way? If there's a tornado warning in this area, if I had, and this I answer these questions, if it were my family, if my daughter or wife were driving down this road, I knew they were traveling, I would say the very next exit you see that has any kind of business at all, a gas station, a hotel, a fast food restaurant, a convenience store, anything at all, a rest stop that has a bathroom, something that has a structure, I would say pull off, get into that structure, and let this storm pass on by. You definitely do not want to be in a car. You certainly don't want to be in a high-profile vehicle, something like an RV or a mobile home. I know that's not a car, but that's a bad place to be if you live in a mobile home park. Get into some structure.
Bill, what's the thought process on being under an overpass?
Not good.
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of people might think, okay, let me pull over and go underneath the bridge if there is a bridge there. yeah, you don't want to do that because studies have shown that, let's say the wind is 100 miles per hour, it goes underneath that bridge, and then that wind could pick up to 150, 160 and make it even more damaging. So let's go back and get a new scan. It's now crossed. What we're looking at is this area right here, basically over Middletown and Armstrong, right between there. These are the areas that you want to take it very seriously. We have winds that are moving like this. There's the brand new scan, just came through. It's now just north of Middletown. If there is a tornado confirmed on this, which we do not have, this is radar indicated, you're going to see it right basically here. You got the winds coming up like this, and you have the winds coming down. It has crossed over 301. It is now pretty much over Route 1571, Peterstown Road, and it's continuing off to the east. So let me give you another just scan, and I'm going to go hyper local here. We're going out over the next 10 minutes, and it's just picking up Odessa at this point. There's no other city in there. It's just localized neighborhoods. But there is certainly population here. There are subdivisions. There are businesses. There are people traveling. So now we're talking an area that's not just straight rural. It's not Center City, Philadelphia, but it's certainly an area that people are at home. It's 11 o'clock, maybe sleeping. You know, I have several daughters, and we have a 2-story house. And in situations like this, if it were me and this were in my area, I would absolutely say it's time to wake the kids up. Just say, hey, come on down. Let's go downstairs. You want to get, you know, what really concerns me on stuff like this is trees coming down. We do these stories a lot. Trees come down into houses. You're on that top floor. That's can be deadly. I mean, it's just not good.
I just had a buddy who texted me. He lives in Middletown, and in his vernacular, he's saying it's blowing up right now.
Is that what he said?
Meaning, as far as the lightning, the wind, it's happening. He's in Middletown right now.
Yeah. These winds, Bill, how fast are we talking?
Could easily pick up 60, 70 miles an hour as they're going across. All these lightning emblems, by the way, that you're seeing on the map here, everyone, you just saw the orange. This is a great, like, where Yuki's friend just texted here. When they pop up and they are that yellow right there, the yellow color, Middletown. Here's another one out here. That is a lightning detection real time. And then it will shrink on down and the color will fade. So these brighter ones are more recent. These darker ones they fade out in time. But these are all the lightning strikes just in the last 15 minutes in this relatively small area. And in this small area, we've had 30 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. That does not account for anything within the cloud. That does not account for cloud to cloud. These are direct hits on the ground, whether it's just a field, a tree, a house, something on the surface has been struck. And so, yeah, it's a highly charged system, no doubt about that. If you're just joining us here, the reason we are on like this, because we have a tornado warning, an active tornado warning. This is the area right here. So Odessa, Middletown, Armstrong, right over Graylag and Games Crest, the DuPont Highway, over to Thorntown, approaching the Delaware Bay. Delaware City is technically in this warning as well. It does not extend over the bay at this point into Salem County, but we've been watching this particular warning. This is the same one. If you joined us on our Facebook Live, we were on there for 45 minutes when there was a warning here in Cecil County. This is the exact same system that had a very strong signature over the Chesapeake Bay. There was a water spout, obviously, because it was, well, obviously, if you don't know, water spout is a tornado over water. That's where it started. And as soon as it moved to land, it became a tornado. And we've been tracking this all the way across Cecil County. And really, the radar has not shown any signs of this dying down. That's Route 301 again. We're kind of scanning around. Look how heavy, guys. Look how heavy that rain is coming down on that shot. It is absolutely dumping rain, which is another point, by the way. This is not your classic afternoon tornado potential you'd see in Oklahoma, where you see the funnel and everything's crystal clear. This would unquestionably be rain wrapped. You're not going to see it coming. It's just going to suddenly be there.
Bill, I'm looking. We had covered, it was last July that the National Weather Service confirmed an EF1 tornado touchdown in that very spot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right there in Middletown.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the afternoon, like right during the rush hour, 4:49 to 4:51. And that was, gosh, yeah, last summer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is an area that we've definitely seen it. And we saw it a little bit earlier tonight, just a little bit south. I'm going to look at a couple things here that we're live on the air, by the way. And the reason I'm not in front of that wall is because my computer over there is not working the way I want it to, and it's more important for me to give you the information than to try to fiddle with the computer over there. So that's why you're just hearing me and not seeing me. A couple things about this. First of all, this radar that I'm using is the radar that's down in Dover. It's the closest one to it at this point. Well, it's south of Dover. But it's the closest one, so it's looking pretty close to the surface. Let me look at another one. Now, this is going to be the one from Mount Holly, so it's a little farther away. The colors are going to change a little bit, but what I'm looking at here, it's in a similar area. Now, this is looking higher up in the storm, so this isn't as close to the surface, but what you're seeing here, even on this radar, that's kind of reaching out to the outer edges of it, is still seeing some rotation in here, and what it's also picking out, these really bright colors, these are exceptionally strong winds. Once again, this radar is probably looking several thousand feet up into the storm, if not, 7,000 or 8,000 feet. So it's not quite down at the surface, but this is showing, again, some different rotation here. I'm going to go back to the other one. Similar area. It's a little muddied. I'm just scanning some different radars here for us. But yeah, what we're looking at is that potential tornado right in this region, just north of Middletown. And so if you're watching this, I just urge you to take those tornado precautions. Let me do one more track and just kind of draw it out as we're chatting there. You see that Mount Pleasant, 1116, Gray Lag, 1122.
When it comes to the colors, what determines the rotation? Because you were talking about that a little bit earlier this evening.
So when the radar uses this product, the color red, we kind of have it indicated a little bit up here in the banner. The color red is where the winds are moving away from the radar. Okay, so what we can tell, you see how that radar is sweeping around. The radar is south of this. So what that tells us is, for example, all of these winds here in Salem and Cumberland County are all moving in one direction away from the radar. So they're probably moving like this. They're moving out away from the radar. If they were moving toward the radar, they would be green. When we look at a tornado, this is why I leave it on this particular product versus this product, which has all kinds. This is a completely different radar product. This shows you the rainfall, the intensity, the lightning, but it doesn't show you which way the winds are going. We go back to this one, and what we're looking at now, it starts switching from red to green. So what that means is the green is toward the radar. So there's some winds here that are moving like this. There's some winds here that are moving like this, and that is where you're getting the opposite movement. The stronger the tornado, the brighter these colors are going to be, and the closer together they are going to be. So when I look at this shot right here, I'm encouraged from a tornado perspective, not from a storm perspective, just from a tornado perspective, that things are starting to wash out, so to speak. They're not quite as clear as they were earlier, and the less clear they are, the less likely there is a tornado on the ground. The clearer the signature, the more confidence we have that there's actually a tornado, and if they're really bright and really next to each other, the stronger the tornado would be. And when you see these violent F3, F4, F5s, it's crystal clear that there is something happening, because you have like bright red immediately next to bright green, which we're not seeing here, which is good. But that doesn't take away from the fact that you have a major storm going on in this area right now.
So what are we waiting on now? An expiration or a cancellation?
It's we'll see what they say. In fact, some brand new information just coming down right now, and I'm going to read this to you. Mount Holly, the National Weather Service, going to continue the tornado warning. So they haven't said if they're going to expire it yet. If they do expire it right now, this tornado warning is, I'm going to put this on the screen here. This tornado warning is in effect until 11:30.
So expiration doesn't mean it's over?
No. If they expire it, that means they're going to let it go at the end of the warn time. Now, if they say, oh, this thing is completely fizzled out, there's no threat at all, they would do what's called canceling it.
Right. Okay.
A lot of times they'll just expire it. Right now, they're continuing it. So 11:30, so another 10 minutes is when this is set to expire. What they're saying is, let me just read it for you real quick. It's radar indicated. And this right now what I'm really looking at is right over, Odessa. This is just, there's going to be some hail. There's so much lightning. This is a really big storm right here. It's the kind of storm that I'm sure dogs are kind of going crazy, like, kids are going nuts because they're scared of storms, and it's a constant flash. We were seeing that on the camera there, the DOT camera on 301. Hey guys, in the control room, you probably looked, but do we have a camera anywhere in this region along Route 13 or Route 1? It'd be interesting to see if there's something. They're checking now, thank you. So they're saying that just at 11:15, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Mount Pleasant or Middletown, moving east at 20 miles per hour, which is this exact system that we've been continuing to track for you. Well, there you go. That's outside of Odessa, 299. And you'll see the frequency of those lightning flashes. It's just every few seconds that sky is lighting up right there with this. And that's what we're also seeing on our map as well. And there's 299, just for a little right here, that highway there, looking out this direction. So you're looking into the flashes. Very few people on the road.
Yeah, I was just going to say, thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
But there are a lot of developments down there. I play golf down there a lot. I know a lot of developments are in that area around the St. George's Bridge, Odessa, Delaware City, in that area. And as I mentioned, a friend of mine down there right now said it is blowing up in his vernacular, and we can see it. We can see it on that radar.
Yeah, for sure. And so we'll continue to watch this for you. Thank you guys for getting this computer back up, by the way. Great stuff. So yeah, that's where we are right now. We're talking a lot about this particular cell here in this area because that is where we have the active tornado warning. Notice though, as we go out over into Salem County, we still have these lightning strikes. We move up 95. It's pouring rain outside in Philadelphia here. Here's 95. We're not seeing the lightning strikes in these areas. You can see as I widen this out just to show you. Obviously, the stronger the storm, the more energy there is. And so you get more things like the strong winds, you get the lightning strikes. I mean, look at this is a big storm down here, and you can see the difference between that and what we're dealing with in the city at this hour. Not anything reporting cloud to ground lightning strikes, at least our lightning tracker, not picking any of that up. But it is, I'll be concerned for Salem County to see if the National Weather Service extends this. I highly doubt they're going to drop the severe thunderstorm part of it. They may drop the tornado part of this, and we're going to look at this again in just a moment. But I can't imagine, knowing what we've seen and what we're looking at, that they wouldn't at least extend a severe thunderstorm warning. Obviously, a severe thunderstorm is if you have a tornado, it's a severe thunderstorm. But a tornado is very specific. It's the rotating column of air that's touching the ground. A severe thunderstorm defined by winds of 58 miles an hour or greater. Hail 1 inch in diameter or greater, or of course a tornado would fall into that category. So let's go down, guys, and look at another track here. We have the lightning we're talking about. These are hail markers, these things right here, bright whites that we're seeing. So the radar's picking up some hail. And then in terms of when we look at that velocity data, so still right here, we're tracking this is the same one. So it's moving at that line right across over Middletown. So Middletown, you guys are out of the tornado threat. Odessa, I want you to take your tornado precautions in this area if you haven't already, right in here. So we're looking, there's gray lag in Odessa. If it's seeing anything, again, not crystal clear, but it would be right in this region here, rolling across and continuing to make its way toward the Delaware Bay. So what are we looking at? That's Odessa. Is that 299 that we're looking at on that shot there? Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at all the lightning and the folks just kind of going. I wonder which. So that must be looking. That's going to be looking north with all that lightning there. So that's probably looking at 299, and then the DOT camera's flipping around. But right in this region here where it branches off. Be in your safe space. You get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Basement, if you got it, that is the best place to be. And as we talked about earlier, folks driving around, you don't want to be in anything like a car if you can prevent it, obviously. We talked about that. Like, what if you're driving in the middle of nowhere? Is it safer to be in a car or safer to get out of the car and go into a ditch? And it's safer to be in a ditch. And I don't know what kind of strength it would take to stop the car and get out and go into a ditch in a situation like that. Hopefully you're never in anything like that, obviously. But the best place to be in a tornado warning, and again, I'm looking right in here, right in this area, is in a structure, preferably, obviously a house, building of some kind, lowest level, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. In a basement, if you can do it. You guys, I haven't done a track in just a few minutes, so let's do a fresh track and see how we're doing here. I'm going to sample it right at this point where we're seeing these bright colors. And I'm actually going to extend it out. Let's go out a half an hour from now. So, McDonough. I'm saying that right, you right? Am I saying that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Lower Alloways, 1156. So 1124, 1156. Now, once we get past Highway 113, we start getting into more rural terrain. But of course, there's houses, and we were talking earlier. I don't know in this area, to be honest, if there are different RV parks or campgrounds or people out that just locally maybe doing some hiking. I mean, people aren't going on a day hike right this time of night, but a lot of people will go in, set up a little camp, that type of thing, this time of year. If it were February, like we had our first tornado warning last year in February, I probably wouldn't consider those things. But it's now June. It's summer-like, right? So people are out and about. So if you know anybody that's in this, there's probably not a ton of people. right? But if you do, for some reason, you know somebody out there, please let them know what's going on. But that is what we're going to keep a very close eye on here for the next couple of hours. I mean, you just see these, let me clear this back off. You just see these bright colors right in here where you get the winds going this way and the winds going this way with the radar at the lowest tilt. So you got this counterclockwise spin like this, and we'll continue to watch. I'm going to see if the National Weather Service is putting up any update from there.
Bill, based on your experience, if it's set to expire in about 5 minutes, you think this will be extended with the storms that we're having? They just keep, it looks like they keep coming and coming.
I think what they'll probably do is let it expire. My gut tells me, and my experience tells me, that based on what we're seeing here, it's not crystal clear. It's starting to muddy up a little bit, certainly rotation, but this storm to me is much more impactful in this. I mean, this big storm with all this lightning and the gusty winds out of it. Is there going to be rotation? It's starting to get a little bit on the iffy side, a little muddied. I would say that they would probably extend a severe or add a severe thunderstorm warning to that. They're not going. Somebody asked me too, is this going to go to a watch? And it won't. A watch is very different. A watch means conditions are possible, but a watch is not issued by our local weather service office. A watch is issued from the Storm Prediction Center, which, by the way, guys, the update that came in a little earlier, the Storm Prediction Center, the branch that is in charge of issuing the risk for severe storms, did put our area here in that 1 out of 5, a marginal risk. And what that means classifiably is an isolated, strong or severe storm possible. Okay? So it's not like widespread, it's not scattered, it's an isolated strong or severe storm. That's exactly what we've seen tonight. I think they've done a great job there at the SPC, and that does extend out to Salem County, into Cumberland County, and close to Cape May County, not quite there. So we'll watch that, but they will issue a watch. The last update, they said watch unlikely because it's such a localized area, 20% chance, but I haven't seen anything different that would prompt. So if this is expired, it would just be over. There would not be a watch.
Have you seen anything behind it? Is this the bulk of it right now?
Yes. No. So yes, I've seen behind it, and I don't see much. Okay. I think this is the bulk of it right now. In fact, as you look behind it, this is not rainfall. This is just kind of ground clutter that the radar is picking up because it's still in its mode that's really looking for storms. So yeah, as we look at this, and I put the radar into motion over the last half an hour, once this rolls through, down essentially considerably. You can't say, okay, it's stray storm popping up here and there, but a bulk of this energy is moving through. Do we just, let's see here. Oh yeah, yep, they did extend it. There you go. Just now, they just came down. So they did extend it into Salem County. Let's see what they're doing here with this. So the National Weather Service, this just coming down. Yep, there it is. They did increase it a little bit. Let me read what they said here. So they did extend the tornado warning. They did not do severe. They didn't extend it very far, actually, which is interesting. They just pushed it over into Salem County. This is what they say. It's until midnight now, so it's going to go another half-hour increment. At 11:27, so now what are we at, 11:28? A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Mount Pleasant or near Middletown moving east. They've slowed it down 15 miles per hour. It's radar indicated, so we have not seen any kind of ground report at this point from an emergency manager, sheriff, police officer, fire, local storm spotter, etc. And I don't think you'd see it anyway. It'd be rain wrapped with all the rain that's there. They are going to continue it up until midnight because of the rotation. Let's do a fresh track for you and just see. And I'm actually going to drop this now to 15 miles per hour based on this information. So let me take our scan. I'm going to do it on the fly to 15, which, by the way, this is why I have all this set up here so I can do these things, chat with the National Weather Service if need be. So we're going to take this out. Let's scan this out. And we're talking about this part right here. So this is not going to be a wide scan. I'll do a wide scan in just a moment. But let's take this out like this. And oh, I got something up in there. Why is that? Let me scan this out again. Move this like this. There we go. So this new scan at time, Thorntown at 11:38, Ellensboro right around the midnight time frame. You got Lower Alloways Creek, 1209, Harmersville, and that's in this one as well. That's at 1212, Quinton right around 1219. If you heard any of these cities that you know somebody there or you're there, time to, I don't know, call 911 or start taking it seriously. There is an active tornado warning in this area. Let me put the warning back on for you and show you where we're talking about. Let me do this. Let me put the different radar on. Let me zoom down in. A lot of lightning. I'm sure you're probably up right now because the lightning is waking you up with as much as there is. And right in this box, this is where the tornado warning is. I will say, while very active for you folks in Middletown and Odessa, this is where it's starting to wind down, and your threat is, we're focusing on the threat a little more ahead of it. Still, let's say, around the DuPont Highway, but west of that, things are starting to really taper off dramatically. So all the lightning strikes will likely, if you're in Middletown, for example, they are off to your east. They are likely not to your west unless there's just a lone thunderstorm or a lone bolt there. But this is what we're watching. This is the Delaware Bay. So it does not go up into Wilmington, for example. It does not. The warning is not for the Delaware Memorial Bridge, so it's over the open water here, but it does work in to Salem County. And if we get a closer look and we zoom on down, you know, we look here, you got a lot of like the marshland area type here, a lot of wetland type stuff. But we do move in here, and you can see this line. This is where the edge of that tornado warning is. So not quite to Quinton, but if we zoom on down, you know, we like to give some streets. I mean, here you go, Hancock's Bridge, Harmersville Road. I mean, you can see them on here yourself. I mean, they're just the different streets that we have. What do we got? Walnut Street Road. What does I say? Walker there? Well, Walnut Street. Elks Terrace is in there. Amwell Berry Road. Hancock Bridge Fort Road. So again, if you hear the sound, we're tracking an active storm for you where there is an active tornado warning out. But yeah, guys, this is a big storm tonight, no doubt about that.
And you said the Weather Service says it's now 15 miles per hour?
15 is what they were tracking that as. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll track it. We'll go back a half an hour. Like we'll look, for example. So let's take, I'm going to take a line. If we go like this, and I might take a random sample line like, let's take this right here, and then we go back and we kind of track that by 30 minutes to like here, and then we do a sample of the distance between this. And so this here only moving, this is moving, my estimate, 9-10 miles per hour. We've been tracking it at 20. They dropped it to 15. It's in the 15 to 20 miles, because this is what happened within the last half hour. So you double that, be 20 miles per hour. It's 15, 20, somewhere in there. Certainly not racing at 30 or 40 miles per hour. It's moving fairly slowly.
And Bill, you had mentioned that, you know, clearly if you know anyone who might be in the path, I'm looking here at Green Valley Mobile Home Park.
Yeah.
They are right in the path of this. So if you know someone right near that Hancock's Bridge Road, if you know someone who lives over in that area, give them a call to wake them up. Just tell them to get to someplace safe. You know, what do you do if you're in that situation?
So it's a great question, and let me do a track, and then let's talk about that for just a moment. I'm going to take the sample just like that, and I'm going to take it wide, much wider of where this what we're really looking at is this rotation right in there. Not all mobile home parks have a central, you know, what do you call them, like not a guest house, but like a community center or something like that. That would be the most important thing, a community center. Oh, it's such a tough call, and that's why we are constantly trying to teach people, if you live in situations like this, what is your storm plan? If you live in an apartment and you're on the second floor, what's your storm plan? And you never want to talk about a storm plan when you're in a tornado warning. You want to have that plan in place ahead of that. Even if a high warning potential is not likely, you always want to have, what are you going to do in this scenario? So that's a tricky one. If there's nothing around filled with trees, you know, you just don't want to be in a mobile home. In that scenario, if that's the case, you'd want to get into somewhere that's lower. You know, because just histories have shown, you know, when you get a tornado that's coming by, those mobile homes, yeah, sure, they're attached to the ground, but there's no foundation. It does not take much wind to get in there and flip that thing over. Now,
like a toy.
Like a toy. And let's say you're in let's say it's not even an EF4 violent tornado that just levels homes to the foundation. Let's say it's just enough that mobile home gets flipped, right? Just knocks over on its side, which is a major storm, obviously. If you're inside that thing and it's flipping over, and you have everything inside there. You have, appliances and, glassware, and it's just a super dangerous situation. And so what's nearby? Are there any buildings nearby? Is there a church nearby? Is there, and I don't know if churches are open at this time of night, probably not, but my point of that is right now, unfortunately, is not the time to come up with a plan. Now would be a time, if you're in a warning, to execute that plan, not create the plan. And so we're constantly trying to talk about what you do and have that in place. And then we deliver, here's the information for you, here's the timing, leaving this timestamp for this on here. And this is when you can expect an active weather situation. Maybe a tornado, maybe not. Maybe it's just some gusty winds. At minimum, you got all the lightning and you got the strong winds and the rain. But we're just tracking out our likely potential for where we are seeing this rotation on the map as to where you may get that. And what time you may see that. Again, guys, it is just a radar indicated, I say just but a radar indicated tornado versus some of the ones today that were visually spotted. They were seen on video, seen by people, and they were just a tornado on the ground. Make sure that wasn't a message. Okay, there we go. But yeah, that's what we're looking at right now.
Real quick, Bill, as you continue, I just want to give a quick programming note. If you are tuning in right now for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, it is now on Philly 57. We are airing it live right now. We're airing the show on Philly 57 while our coverage of tornado warnings in our area continues. Okay, Bill.
Yeah, and I got to say, now these last couple of scans, it's become a little clearer now. I mean, this right here, this is actually more of a signature than it was even a few minutes ago, and this is holding together. And what we're looking at, and the reason I keep it on this product, it's called a velocity product when we're talking about a tornado warning, is because this is showing you storm movement and storm direction, and storm intensity, I should say. So the movement, the direction, and how strong the storm is. So these reds are where the storm is moving away from the radar. The greens are where it's moving toward the radar. And so our radar here is south. You see it sweeping around. You see that arm that's spinning around. Our radar is south of here. It's down near Dover, south of Dover. So these winds here are moving away. So they're moving this direction. And notice that they're right here. It's very bright. This area right here that the radar is picking up locally is a stronger wind than what is around it. The green here, it's moving toward. Now, if this were all moving in the same direction, you wouldn't see any green at all. So there is certainly rotation here. And this radar is not looking 10, 15,000 feet in the sky. This radar is looking probably a couple thousand feet up. Maybe 2 or 3 would be my best guess right now as to where we're looking in the atmosphere at the tilt level that I have. And so when I see these specifically, I go, okay, there's a very clear rotation here. And so that is why, let me take these off the screen, the National Weather Service has issued and continued it out, or extended it, I should say. Now, this is the line, this is the coast, the shore of Delaware Bay. So here, where we're getting this, it's moving over Delaware Bay essentially right now. I mean, here we go, Route 9. Okay, so it's over Route 9. We talked about Route 9 earlier. Here's Bayview Road. This is a very similar location where we had the storm a couple of hours ago push through. And now it is moving its way over the Delaware Bay, which will give us a little bit of a lull in terms of homes and cars and those types of things. Obviously, there's a marine warning out. I'm sure the folks that travel this channel here, all the different shipping routes and everything, they probably have held off, I would guess. But that could be a problem for anybody that's out on the water, certainly. But then this will roll across, and now you have the parts of Salem County here where there's not a ton of population in this part, but as you get farther inland, that's where it starts to obviously pick up a little bit more. And that's where the warning at this point goes into Salem County. And it's this line right here. I know it's red. It's combined with the other. So it does go up, does include Salem, and it drops on back down here. But you folks in Odessa, Middletown, you guys right now can rest easier because the storm has now moved east of your area. Mount Pleasant, where it was located a little bit earlier, you still have some rain that you are dealing with, right? But you're not dealing with the tornado. Here, you can get out of your safe space. Middletown, give you the all clear there. Odessa, all clear. Raining up and down 13 and Route 1. I give you the clear there as well. But you still, in Thorntown, that's where we're looking at the warning that is still in, I mean, it still technically extends back here, but the active weather is well east of you guys. So you guys are in the clear in these areas. But now it's moving out over the Delaware Bay. It's probably quite the view from the bridge looking south, I'm guessing. You know, here the bridge is right up here, and that active weather is there as it moves over the
Bill, I can't remember tornado warnings this time of night in our area, but I guess it doesn't matter. It can happen any time.
You know, it can happen any time. They're most frequent in the afternoon and early evening hours because of peak heating of the day. But this cell, and they, you know, we keep going back to that bigger shot, this cell has packed an incredible punch today, mainly out of our area. But this thing here, this goes back a few hours. But down around the Baltimore, D.C. area, I mean, there was at one point, there were 5 tornado warnings up in that area. 5. I was walking between Baltimore, back into Montgomery County. There was one down in Charles County. That was the first one I saw today. That's south of the D.C. area. And I thought, okay, they're in the marginal risk. They're going to be unisolated. And then it just started going. And they've been fairly continuous all day long. I mean, this you can kind of see in this, there's a little counterclockwise spin. It's this little wave of energy that's pushing through, and just enough to tap into that we're getting that. Now, also on this map, this goes back several hours. So this goes back to when we had more energy. And if you just look at the lightning emblems, there were more. There's still a lot now with this storm, but it is showing signs of calming down a little bit, which is great. It's not completely dying down, obviously, but it's definitely showing some signs of deteriorating a bit, which is great. And over the next couple of hours, the language I was reading from the Storm Prediction Center, when they said there was a 20% chance of a watch, unlikely because it's such a small chance and relatively small area, you know, talking about moving into our region, and that the conditions there are not really ripe, but there are a few things that the Storm Prediction Center were looking at. The winds at the surface, the dew point temperature, which we talk about all the time. I did an extensive thing on Facebook Live about it. But if you walk outside right now, you're just going to start dripping sweat. It is so humid outside. It's just beyond soupy outside. And that's the energy that these storms are working with. And so because of that, for a few more hours, because these storms have been fairly large, there's enough energy. They're kind of creating enough energy to keep it going, per se. But guys, this is a great sign. If we go from here, let's go back over to Max 1 for just a moment. And you see lightning emblems, but you see nowhere near as many. And what you're also looking at are a lot of these darker shades. These are the ones that occurred 15 minutes ago, or almost 15 minutes, where when we were on the air, when we first came on, you kept seeing all these bright yellow, all these bright flashes that were starting. So again, I bring that up because it is calming down, but I wouldn't say that it's certainly not completely calm there. But yeah, let's go back. I want to get one more. Let's take another look at the scan. And now too, which is great, we're seeing less of that signature that we are talking about as it's moved over the water. Windy, no doubt about it. Raining very heavily, inches per hour in spots. Some small hail. I think that's going to probably start tapering off. And of course, lightning. These are all going to be threats. I'm always sensitive to, I mentioned it earlier, I'm sensitive to, you know, kids being very scared, being a parent and you know, just trying to stay calm, and kids are hearing the thunder and they're seeing the flashes of lightning, and then of course, you know, hearing that there's these warnings perhaps, and hey, why do we got to wake up and go and, you know, and be safe? It's a very scary situation. I remember it as a kid when growing up and having that. In fact, my first experience completely with this was in Bucks County, and I remember hearing the sirens, and as I got older, I asked you, I didn't know Bucks County, and I became a meteorologist. I didn't know Bucks County had tornado sirens, and it's not. It's the the emergency sirens, that the fire engine that are being sent out and the thing. But I remember being a little kid. I must have been 3, and at my grandma's house, and hearing these sirens, being in a bedroom by myself, and it's dark and it's storming, and these sirens, and I remember how terrifying that was. And so I'm always sensitive to that, and that's why we take these things very seriously. We certainly don't jump on the air to ruin your programs or, you know, do anything. And we're here to keep you and your family safe and keep you informed. And when it's serious, we're serious. When it's not, it's not. And, you know, I'm seeing this is an improved signature for me. What we're seeing here is a little bit of clutter. That's that right there, which I think is good. And let me check the other one for you. This is showing very strong winds, but it's not looking as good with the rotation there. Guys, real quick, brand new from the National Weather Service here within the last 11:43, so 11:44. They're going to keep it in effect till midnight. Now they say it was located over Port Penn, 7 miles north of Middletown, moving east. They're talking about the thunderstorm itself. Moving east at 15 miles per hour, radar indicated rotation. Take cover now and everything that we've been telling you. So we'll stay on it. We'll see what they're going to do. They have canceled the warning for Delaware. Okay, so Newcastle County National Weather Service has canceled, and we were talking about a cancellation versus an expiration. Cancellation means it's gone. So you folks in Delaware, Newcastle County, your storm threat is over. Can rest easy. Still raining, still have some storms for probably another 30 minutes or so, and then it will start to taper off. But the tornado warning in this sliver of our area in Salem County, that is what we're watching right now. It's the only one, guys, that we have out, which is good. And, we got a lot of questions earlier, too, on Facebook Live. Hey, is it going to be here? Is it going to be there? Is it going to be? And a lot of them, we had a question like, is it up near Philly? We had some questions from Chester County, Delco. Somebody asked about that. It's possible, but as we go through the next few hours and these storms slowly start to wind down, the tornado warning potential is going to lessen quite a bit, but still up at this point for another 14 minutes here in Salem.
You were talking about when you were a kid, and I was thinking, I guess the best thing you can do, especially after this all moves out, is create a plan.
Yeah.
You have to have a plan.
You do.
Because you never know when it's going to pop up.
Absolutely, and it's a very important thing, and I'm a proponent of having plans for anything. I mean, even if just the power goes out, where you have some water to the side, maybe a little extra fuel, that type of thing. But when we're talking about severe weather plans, yeah, it's so much easier to create a severe weather plan on a beautiful sunny day. Unfortunately, you're generally not thinking about it at those times, but those are the times you say, okay, what do we need? Where do we got to go? What should we do? Where is our place to go? And I'm happy to, if any of you are ever like, okay, you're watching this and you say, I want to do that. Let the next couple of weeks I want to do that, since we're really entering our severe weather season here in this part of the country. June, July, August, that's where we see most of our severe weather, and more in the Midwest is or in the plains, April, May. For us, it's a little bit later. And you're like, well, here's my situation. I live in an upper floor of an apartment. What should I do, or whatever? I'm happy to communicate with any of you. Hit me up you can email me, or hit me on social media, Bill Kelly Weather, direct message, whatever. I like to help people out with that. I talk to a lot of schools. We talk about that thing, but more for parents. It's an important thing as we're watching these tornado warnings. The severe weather season this year has been pretty quiet so far, and I knock on wood. I was saying, I think tonight, and correct me if I'm wrong, you two, I think this may be the first night that we've been wall to wall a couple times covering tornado.
No question.
Do you remember doing it this year?
I don't think
No. And Bill, question, as we can, we've been watching these storms, and you said they're going to continue throughout the evening. Coastal flood advisories, what do people need to be concerned about as far as just how much rainfall there is? Yeah,
that's a great question. So the rain is going to dump. The coastal flood advisories, a little bit more time with the high tide stuff. The flood warnings, and that's a great thing. We've been talking about severe thunderstorm warnings. There were a few flood warnings out earlier, and in our area right now, we don't have any. Most of those are back here through parts of Maryland, where they saw inches of rain. There is one here in Chester County, and that's from the storm that rolled on through. And let's just look at that one. This is here. There's Lower Oxford, East Nottingham. This here is a flash flood flash flood warning, and this is up until 2:30 in the morning. And this one here was because 2 to 4, the estimate of the rainfall in this area out of the storm was 2 to 4 inches of rain. So that's it's a great point. If you're out driving, I know it's midnight, most of you are probably not going to do that. Most of you probably going out in the morning, if you're going out at all. But if you're somebody watching this and you're a delivery driver, or you're traveling tonight, you're doing something, the rainfall is dumped in many spots, and so there are going to be areas that you have ponding on the road. The most important thing is, the phrase "turn around, don't drown." There are a handful of flood warnings that are out there. The tornado warning itself, and I don't want to be confusing, this is not the tornado warning. That is in Chester County. That is a flash flood warning. The tornado warning itself is this cell back here into Salem County. That, by the way, I just looked at, and I didn't mention, I was kind of scanning through, the velocity is looking way improved, meaning that we don't have the bright greens and the bright reds. I cannot imagine a scenario that the National Weather Service is going to continue the tornado warning with this cell, looking at it the way it looks right now. Couple scans, couple more minutes. It's set to expire in 10 minutes. Maybe this thing ramps up a little bit, and then they err on the side of caution and issue a warning. But at this point, I can't imagine that the tornado warning will continue after midnight as the way that it's looking right now, especially in the area that it's in, where it's not quite over a highly populated area. It will be, this storm will be in time, but it's not right now. So I'm going to continue to follow this. Yeah, it's a continuation there. They had that pop up. Let me show you the storm, the bigger picture here, because we've been focusing on these areas, but our region right now, you don't have to be in Salem County. Maybe you've been woken up to the sound of some heavy rain. I mean, look at this in Gloucester County. These rainfall rates, where you see these areas of red, I mean, it is just absolutely pouring. And so we could have, going back to Jessica's point, we could have some localized flood warnings. This is an estimate here of 1.34 inches per hour. So if that storm sat overhead for an hour or two, you'd be talking inches of rain, which would then prompt flash flood warnings. You're not going to see it that long, but you're going to have some very heavy rainfall in your area and across the entire region. When you go here, it's Philadelphia, you see Center City, and even North Philly, not quite as rainy, but Philadelphia and South Philly, down near the airport there, that's getting heavy rain. You go down 95 right through Delco into Delaware, and it's windshield wipers on high, plus you get the spray from the roads. Not good travel conditions. If you are watching and saying, I do need to travel, when is this all going to come to an end? Well, as we loop this over the last half hour, this will push through in a few hours. It's not going to be gone in the next hour. It's going to move through. It'll start to taper off. But notice, a few storms starting to fire up a little bit behind it, so it's not over completely.
I just got a call from a friend in Wilmington. The rain's coming down at a pretty good clip.
Yeah, and there's some storms now into northern part. Look, this storm has intensified a bit into northern parts of Delaware here.
Yeah.
So this is the one, this is the storm that prompted that flash flood warning in southern Chester County. And that, by the way, just south of the border into, is it still Cecil there? I think it's still Cecil County in Maryland. Had a tornado warning on it too. It never jumped north of the border here into PA, but that's this storm here. The radar is indicating hail, certainly has some lightning. And what's interesting about this, notice over the last 30 minutes, it is intense. This storm, this part, which is a little bit different than the one in Salem County, is intensifying a little bit, or at least hanging on to its energy. It's certainly not dying down, evident by these lightning strikes. And the lightning strikes are a great indicator of how strong the storm is, because the taller the storm is, the greater chance you're going to have lightning, because it has to do with friction and winds in the storm going up and down, and kind of these collisions of particles and molecules. And then, so the bigger the storm is, you get these storms that are 40, 50,000 feet. The lightning can just be nonstop. So these are tall storms. Well, they were tall earlier. They were 25, 30,000 feet. But yeah, there's lightning here in Wilmington, just south of Wilmington. And let's take this. There's no tornado warning out by the. There we go. The Mount Holly office 1 minute ago expired the tornado warning for Salem. So again, they are seeing exactly what we're seeing. They saw that, they expired it. They did not, they're not canceling it, but they are going to expire it. So that means at midnight, the tornado warning at this point will be over. They're not going to extend it, and we're talking about this one right here. So that will expire at midnight. No tornado warning up, even though it's very active up near Wilmington. And as we look at the velocity, there's a little bit of something going on here, a little bit of something. You got some winds that are very strong here. There's the Cedars, Christiana. Here's 95, right where it connects, it switches over to 495, going up here to Wilmington. There's Wilmington. Back down 95, just north of that. There's a little bit of something there that we're keeping a close eye on. It's not what's called a couplet. It's not a tight thing, so the National Weather Service has not issued that. Let me see if they're discussing it. They expired the tornado warning. Yeah, they haven't mentioned it. So, but we'll keep watch. You have all your sources over there, you.
Yeah, I know. I'm calling.
Yeah, all the locals.
Yes, right. Indeed.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's some good news. When we go back here, you can see just north of Salem, you get some of this, but notice how different this is, guys, from what we were talking about a half an hour ago with the greens and the red side by side. So this rotation has stopped. Doesn't mean it's not storming. It just means that now there's not an obvious spin, which would indicate a tornado. Therefore, the National Weather Service said, okay, we will expire this warning at midnight. And it's almost very, I'm kind of surprised they just didn't cancel it. But it's only another 5 minutes, so that's why they're going to let it expire at that particular location. But yeah, so the next few hours, what we're going to do is we're going to stay on this. We're going to probably dart off the air now so we can get back to the main programming. We're probably going to stick around for a little bit. If there happens to be another tornado warning issued, we will jump on. We will let you know, as we always do. We keep you and your family safe. It's our #1 job here. But for now, we're dealing with storms. The tornado warning will expire in Salem County, and we'll continue to monitor it. That is a look at the weather, guys. It's been a very active night.
It certainly has. Great job, my friend.
Yeah,
thank you,
Bill, for all of that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Our morning team is back tomorrow from 4:30 to 7, then again at 9. For everyone here, I'm UQ Washington.
I'm Jessica Cartalia. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your home every night and for trusting us with all of your news and weather coverage.
Indeed. Take care of you and each other. Good night, family, and sleep well.